another episode of Who Woke the Savage. And I'm excited because, like, honest to God truth, I feel like there's been so much going on. Life be lifing. So,
Yes,
Royal, I
ma'am.
hope you enjoyed today's episode. Like, for real, though, right? Like,
No,
okay,
seriously though. Like
right? You
we
know what I'm saying?
are really taking time out. Life is lifing, and we are here because we want to give this information. We want to talk to y'all, y'all family. We love y'all, and life is lifing out there.
I think the first couple episodes, we took them through the blueprint, and right now we're ready to get to that generational
Yeah.
healing. We trying to heal together,
Yes,
and
I feel like we talked about childhood trauma, generational trauma, relationship with parents, and now it's that part of trying to heal and that shifting. How do
a
we
hundred
shift
and
from?
10.
Mhm.
You know, it's so crazy. So, like, literally, I've had a million and one conversations in this past week about our current political climate, right? I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of that. I know that people feel like we're living in really uncertain times. And I feel like naturally, for some of us, maybe people of color, we feel like we're constantly stuck in survival mode.
Yeah.
So every time we see what's going on in the media, every time we see how the world is shifting and changing, we already brace ourselves and prepare for impact, right? So I feel like I'm tired of being a survivor. Like, I feel like I had that Destiny's Child t-shirt my whole life. I'm ready to switch from just surviving through life, but thriving in life, right? And
Starving.
I feel like a lot of people are feeling that same type of energy.
Mhm. And the question is, how do we make that shift?
I mean, first off, you got to start with your mindset. Like,
That's
honestly,
a whole fact. Because surviving is a mindset in itself, and thriving is too.
see, like
So
when
it's
you're
like,
constantly in survival mode, yeah,
mhm.
like I feel like this when you're constantly in survival mode, I feel like you miss out on some of the greater aspects on life that allow you to push forward. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever heard of this like famous psychologist. His name is Maslow, and he has this whole
No.
like pyramid which talks about our needs, right? At the top of our needs, we have to have our passion and purpose met. At our bottom of our needs, we just need the basics, the food, water, the shelter. I mean, even a little penis on occasion, you know what I'm saying? Like, but needless to say, y'all, you need all of those other things that help you thrive and feel like you're feeling fulfilled. But if you don't have those basic needs met, you
Mhm.
really don't know how to move forward.
But like you said, that's the difference. Surviving is saying, hey, I'm trying to make sure I got a roof over my head, and I have this, and I have that, and I take care of kids, and I do that. But like you said, thriving is something different. Thriving is being on that level of being like, yeah, I want so much more in life that has nothing to do with the basics.
I mean, thriving for some people, I feel like they're like, oh, are you moving without fear? I don't feel like we ever have moments where we don't have doubt about what's going to happen in the future. Everybody can have some anxiety or stress about what's going to happen, but thriving
Right.
is that good space that lets you know that I have my path set, and even if I get knocked down in a few situations, I know that I can
Mhm.
pick myself back up. I can steady my course, and I can get things accomplished,
That's right.
right? What do you feel like? I feel like currently in your life that you're doing that has moved you towards your thriving period.
I think it goes to like how we talked about that self healing, that journey of like putting yourself in that mindset. Like I said before, like I'm taking care of me. I'm doing what I need to do for me to put me in a mindset where like success is the only thing that's out here. Holding back ain't an option. If you're comfortable being okay, that's fine. You can be okay. I'm not comfortable being okay. So baby, you can stay here. I'm gonna go there. And I see you when I see. Everybody ain't meant to go with you the distance. So like I feel like that's the sense of me thriving, taking care of me so I can, have that strength to be like, okay, I got other things that got to get handled. I got other things. I want more for me.
And I think that recognition is just enough, right? Like, I think a lot of people get so caught up in their day to day. You paying your bills, like you said, you taking care of kids, you out here hustling and you grinding. You forget what the end game is, right? You're so
Yeah,
caught up in just
you
living
forget
that day to day.
that self care. Because I tell people, let me tell you something. I have this thing, right? And everybody do their own thing. I have this thing. Baby, I will go to the grocery store. I will get me some crab legs. Okay. I will sit on my couch, silence everything out, find me a little show, whatever it may be, whatever you watching, whatever you binging at the time, and can't nobody say nothing to me. I ain't answering no phone. I ain't on social media, nothing. It's me, my crab legs, my little cola champagne, and I'm sitting up there, and it's all about the self in me. I'm just up here worried about me and what's making me happy and what's pleasing me in that moment. And everything else at that moment just does not matter.
You know, honestly, I had to do better at something. And one thing I discovered recently was the do not disturb feature on your cell phone. Y'all, do y'all realize like how valid that feature is on your phone? Like I used to feel like if something important, if it's an emergency, everybody had to be able to get access to me. I love this me time where I just block it out. I don't want no notifications. I don't want to see nothing jumping on my screen. I don't want a single alert. I don't care if the world is ablaze and on fire. I need that hour, if not more, to reset. But you know what? You
You
know what
need
I feel
you.
like. But you know what I feel like gets caught up in the midst of us accessing that thriving period is like people have vices. People have maladaptive coping mechanisms that they utilize to help them deal with difficult situations. I was like, that's when people are, not, I don't knock nobody because I like to have a little beverage myself. I do a little dip dab myself, you know what I'm saying? But people have all these different things that they're doing that they feel like relieve all of that stress that comes from trying to survive everyday life. And
Yes.
all of that stuff does not lean you or get you to the point where you can thrive because you're so caught up in just those temporary moments of happiness.
Yes. Like you said, it's one thing, like I said, everybody got something they partake in. Everybody got a little vice. Everybody got something they partake in. But sometimes, like you said, you gotta learn how to put that down, and we got other stuff to accomplish. We got other things that gotta get handled.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm sitting up here, my God don't play about me apparel.
Well, let me tell you,
Because I'm
that
right now.
that right there, let me tell you, that's the whole speech in itself. I tell people all the time, let me tell you something. Go play with something safe, but don't play about me because God don't, okay? Now go ahead. But that's
But that's the whole,
seriously.
that's because you're not operating in a spirit where fear is ruling you, right? Where self-doubt is ruling you, where negativity is consuming you. And I feel like you can only trust that
Mm,
God don't play about you when you're in that point in life where you're ready to move forward, right?
right.
Where you can say anything that a hater got to say about you, roll off the shoulders. Anything that's stressing you out will be taken care of. And sometimes you got to will yourself to be in that space. You got to let some things go just an effort for you to grow to that point.
No, that's a fact. And I also tell people too, I think another thing that comes with the thriving, also watching who's around you.
The company you keep. When
The
mama used
company you keep
to
when you try to thrive. Because we've had this conversation. Like the company you keep when you're trying to thrive, you have to really like sit back sometimes and realize that everything and everybody ain't for you. And no matter what the title is, who it is, and you gotta watch that. Because that will hold
life,
your thriving process. That will hold your
it
thriving process because having the wrong person around you.
I feel like life will keep you in that type of chokehold. And I feel like me personally, the first time in life that I decided to make major changes and just do something different to really try to pursue my passion and my purpose, I watched a lot of people shift energy around me. And I feel like that's when
Mm,
temptation kicks in for things that you tried to let go. That's when people start to pose more of a problem for you. That's when the people that you thought you was locked in with sometimes show you who they really are, how they really
it's up
feeling.
on you.
And you know what I'm saying? That's when you have to do that reevaluation of things because you can't continue. And we said this before, you can't block your own blessing. If I
Mm,
feel like, hey, the energy around me has shifted because I'm trying to thrive as an individual, then I got to reset and say, I got to take a
mhm,
step back from all the things that have been keeping me from that glow point.
mm. And that's why I said, like, if you're okay, if you're somebody that's okay with being at level 3, that's fine. Who am I to tell you not to stay on level 3 if that's what you want to do? But that's not the end level for me. So if now we have come to that point where you got to stay here and I got to go here, see you when I see you.
And it doesn't mean, I think people get you wrong when you say like, oh, I got to keep moving, right? Even though you
Mm-hmm.
at level 3, and I'm definitely going to hit up to my 10, baby. 10 and above. That's where we going. At the end of the day, I still wish and want for you to have more for yourself. But I can't have you come at this point in my journey because you haven't had your own realization.
Yeah.
Like I had an old coworker who kicked it to me in a way that like really, really changed my mindset. And I feel like I had to give that same energy back to a friend of mine recently. He was like, when you are doing well in life or when you are aspiring to do well, it holds a mirror up to those who really look at themselves and go, damn, why am I not doing anything different? Why do I feel stuck? Why
Mm-hmm.
can't I get past this point? So instead of looking at your fellow friends and looking at your fellow company or people around you and saying like, hey, that's motivation, people turn that inward and they like, man, I can't mess with that person. They turn into their own version of a hater because
Mm-hmm. But see,
they
but that's
can't
the
see
thing.
it.
But that's the thing. Don't nobody need no inside hater and they can't. And the bad part is, a lot of times you can have an inside hater that's in your camp before you even got to that part.
Oh, that
You just had a
that
little.
definitely.
You had you had a little bit. You just had a little bit of success. You had a little, not even success. I'll say this: you just had a good day. You had a good moment. Something good happened to you, and I've had that happen where something good has happened to you. You done got you a new job or something simple, nothing too much. Oh, well, okay, you got you a good job. Something came through that you wanted, and you can see the difference in how the happiness ain't that happy because something good done happened to you today. Oh, you done sat up here and you got your new car. Oh, I see you got your little car. Oh, my car, little car. It's a little car now. But you,
Baby, let me tell
but you,
you,
but you don't have no car. But my car, little car. Okay, say less.
you can tell a lot about people from when you share a low moment with them and when you share a high moment. How they respond to your low, because we already know misery loves company.
All
People
the
love when
time.
you sitting there down and out. They like, oh, shit ain't working out for you. That's
Tell
crazy.
me
That's
more.
when they pour a certain energy. And then when you tell them that you're doing good or you're feeling good and things are working out, they be like you said, it's that, oh, you got a little bit of success, you got a little bit of money, you got you a little bit of car or
Everything
something.
little. Everything is
Everything is
little
little.
when you got an inside hater. A little bit of money, a little bit of car, a little bit of house, a little bit of job. Everything is little.
And sometimes you have to protect your own peace by understanding. I can't share this enough with people. Being able to sharing your own success and celebrate yourself at the different phases of your life without it being attached to other individuals is very,
Mm-hmm.
very important for that thriving period.
Yes.
Don't wait for people to pat you back or to acknowledge because you will disappoint yourself every time setting expectations that other people are going to move the way you feel like they should move.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not expecting you to pat me on my back, but I'm definitely not expecting you to stab me in it either. And that's the thing. You don't have to pat me on my back every time something good happens. I'm fine with that. But don't sit up here and be ready to stab me in it, talk bad about me, and do everything else. But you're supposed to be somebody that's supposed to be important to me. You're supposed to be somebody where I sit up here and I'm there for you. I support you, even if it don't make sense. I do everything that you know what I'm saying? Don't be one of those. I don't expect every time something good happens to be like, oh yeah, no. But just don't be an inside hater, but you're supposed to be somebody that say you have love for me and want the best for me. You
But
can't do
it's
that.
some of those people who are supporting you is because they want you to vibrate on the same frequency. And my
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is that if I was in a point in my life, and this has been very true, there's been moments in my life where I felt like maybe I was moving with low vibrations.
Yes.
And when I shifted out of that low vibrational state, I noticed that the company around me started to shift too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I aspired to be around high vibrational people who had their
Yes.
mindset right, who had they was on their game. And that
Mm-hmm.
changed. And I feel like that's why people try to bring people down or they don't acknowledge or cheer them on or maybe even stab them in the back
Mm-hmm.
because they're still operating at that low vibrational point.
Yes, but also, like you said, you don't have to pay. But also, I'm not about to be at that point either, and I think that's the part of thriving to downplay my success either. I worked hard for what I got. I worked hard for everything I did. I bust my ass. I'm not about to sit up here and downplay myself like
Let me tell
I
you
didn't
something, right?
earn everything. No, I'm not doing that.
This is an interesting thing. You know when people tell you like they be like humble yourself. I was like, okay, let's speak realness into this, right? I don't
Mhm.
think that it is humbling yourself for you to celebrate something that you got going on, for you to be proud of yourself, for you to have joy in the things that you are doing, and for you to feel passionate about the things that you are doing. There is no
Mhm.
need for people to be like, oh, you got to humble yourself. I think life has humbled us again and again and again, especially as women, especially as women of color. Many of us have
Yeah,
had those humble experiences. When you are in that thriving point, you want to hold on and lock into that joint.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, no. And like you said, I get it. I feel like the humble thing is one thing. I'm humble enough to know that things could have went wrong. I'm humble enough to know that, like you said, life, things happen. But also, I'm strong enough, wise enough, and also happy and grateful enough that things did succeed. So I'm going to sit up here and praise myself too when good things happen. I'm not
That's a
going to shut myself out when I done hit another success mark. No, I'm not doing that.
My whole thing is that
But
we
I'm
can't
not going
sit
to sit up
around
here
feeling
and
like
dance on nobody either about, oh, like I'm better than you. No, that's
no,
when
no. I'm
somebody
saying
says you need to humble
you
yourself a
also
little.
don't shrink yourself for
Yeah,
nobody. Like
exactly.
honestly, like they said, the sun doesn't ask the sky for permission to shine, and I always say neither do I. That's the reality. You know,
That's it.
I personally
That's
feel
all.
like dry mic, right?
That,
It's one of those things. And that's where you got to get to that point where if it gets to that where you feel like you're shrinking yourself, if you're setting limits on yourself because of those around you, that's problematic. They said take the people that you grew up with, right? And
mm,
you may want to take everybody with you. And I used to be that person. I wanted to take every single body with me. If you met me, if I'm here, you here. If I move, you move, just like that. And I was really one
mm-hmm.
of those people. Then I had to realize that I can't want and dream and wish for you more than you want and dream and wish for yourself. What
Yeah.
satisfies me, what helps me reach my self actualization point, what helps me reach my 10 may not be the same thing that helps you reach your 10.
Yes.
I may be in that space now. You may be there in a few years. You may have
Mm,
been there a few years back. It's like we all operate in different spaces, and you have to give room to that for your friends and your family and your loved ones in general.
you do. And I tell people I do get what you're saying because I was one of those people too. Like if you're in my camp and you're in my circle, if I shoot to the moon, we done shot it to the moon. But I also tell people now I'm at that stage where like let's say something happens and you blow up, you got all this. I want to provide you what you need to get provided with the information, money. Let's say you had a business. Okay, cool. I have the well and means to help you with that. You're a friend. You're somebody I care about. But if you mess this all up, that's on you now because
Girl, I'm gonna tell
I
you,
helped you. I believe that's on
if
you.
I
And
eat, you eat,
I'm
but
not
you
here
can't
to
eat off
clean it
my
up.
plate. Like I said, if I eat, you eat, but you can't eat off my plate though.
Yes,
And there's a
I
difference,
will help you
right?
get. I will take you to the buffet to get you your plate. I'm gonna take you
You know what I'm
to the
saying?
buffet. I'm gonna tell you where the plate's at. I'm gonna even hand you the plate, depending on who you is. I'm gonna hand you the plate. But after that, it's on you what you do with it. But your
And I just
but
wish that,
your success is not just gonna be built off of me. No.
and I tell people like if you feel like something is really blocking you in that regard, if you feel like there's things that are holding you back, you do have to set up some steps, right? And everything can't happen all at once. If you feel like you with a bunch of people and they're encouraging you to spend money that you don't have, I used to tell people all around, don't move the way somebody else move. You trying to keep up with the Joneses, but you got the
Hmm,
Johnsons pockets, okay?
stop it.
So you got to figure out. Now, I'm keeping it a buck. There's a lot of people that move and they end up messing themselves up. It's the same thing when it comes to quality of health, right? If you know that something is bad for you and it does not serve you, you don't keep doing what other people are doing because you feel like that's your end. No, you got to make the steps and the changes that you need to in effort to get
Yeah.
to a place of better health, whether that's mentally, spiritually, physically, any aspect of life where you're seeking that thrive point.
Yes. Everybody's situation is different, but you gotta do what works for you.
I'm gonna tell you. So for a long time, like I had stopped eating meat, right? And I'm still one of those
Yes,
people. I
ma'am.
subscribe to a pescatarian lifestyle. And I was just telling this story to a friend the other day, right? When I first made my decision, I went for a complete like 40 days during the Lenten season. Then I extended that to 21 days of just going for a hardcore like vegan lifestyle, right? And
Okay.
I remember I went out on a date. I went out on a date with this brother, and he's like, "You black, you're not about to eat chicken." And I was like, "Does that make me less of a
May
person
I
of
ask?
color?"
I'm gonna say, may I ask? Could this person use your comb?
They can use my comb. They were a person who could
Okay.
use my comb.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to check.
Right,
I just wanted to. I just wanted to
both
check to
ones.
see. Okay.
This was a brother that could use my comb, and
Okay.
personally,
All
the
right.
person they did something that I said that really stuck with me. They took out a load. They was eating their food. I never judge anybody for living the lifestyle that they choose to, right? Even though I may not eat a certain way, I'm not going to force anything on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But this brother takes a chicken wing off his plate. No lie. Starts dangling the chicken wing. He like, "You don't want this, sis? Like, for real, you not gonna rock with this chicken wing?" And I was like utterly, utterly disgusted. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I was like, "Oh, my grandma can't even get me to eat a piece of her fried chicken again. And you up
You
here
know what?
dangling wings." Like,
You know what?
what?
It really gets me some. It really gets me sometimes when people be like that. Like they just assume like, oh, you can pick it off. You can. That's not how it works. Like,
No.
or you have the one that gets me is the one that be like, oh, if my grandma make this pork chop, look here, your grandma can make it. Your great grandma, I don't care who fried that pork chop up. I'm not eating it.
Right.
So stop playing. And
Facts.
don't do one of these. Like you said, don't
Did
dangle
one of
it in
these,
front
did
of
a
me.
whole one of these. The brothers dangling stuff. And so, but you know what? The reality of it is that whatever their disbelief was, whatever their feelings were, it didn't stop nothing from me. And the reality of it was like that was that person trying to push me into what they feel like, you're not going to enjoy this with me no more. You're not going to live this life with me no more. Instead of asking me why I went on my journey, instead of engaging and
Disrespecting,
understanding what it meant for me
disrespecting
to
the
change my
journey.
lifestyle,
Yeah, you could
they try to solve my
disrespected the
game.
journey.
Yeah, you disrespected the journey.
Yeah.
And that's like you said,
Because that's how we.
the inside hater.
Yeah. Because I tell people all the time, just because I'm doing something, if you're still doing that, that's fine. Like you said, you don't eat meat. Okay, cool. Like me and you don't eat chicken. I'm going to say a chicken wing up in front of you. You know this. You know this to be true. But I'm not going to sit up here and be like, hey,
Like,
Dana,
oh,
yeah, go ahead and bite that bad boy. No, I'm not. Hey, girl, come bite that. No, I'm not going to do that to you. But that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody can respect everybody's journey. So that's when the inside head thing comes. Because you can't sit up here, if you know this is the route I'm taking, for whatever the reason, respect it. I respect that you still sit up here and eating that steak you eating, so respect that I don't want to eat it.
you know what I'm saying? And that's across the board. It's with any aspect of life that you go through. I don't knock anybody for being where they are in their journey. Just have respect for my process. If I'm not hurting anybody and I'm not doing nothing to you, you don't have no reason to find fault or not to, like I said, to be a supportive person. And that's like
Mm-hmm.
friends, family. You got to understand that with people. When we say inside haters, I think a lot of people just attribute it to like, oh, you talking about your friends? No, it could be people
No,
at your job. It could be your homies.
let me tell you
It could be
something.
the dude that you lay up with. It could
I'm gonna
be
be honest.
anybody.
Your inside hater can be your mama. I hate to say this, and I know nobody want to hear it, but your inside hater could be your mama. Your mama right now could be up here
I'm gonna
praying
tell
on your
you.
downfall.
We spoke about this, about how people could be traumatized when it comes to different situations with their family, and specifically when people experience like a lot of like verbal abuse or things that people say to them,
Yeah.
like your mama could say something that makes you feel like your journey stops tomorrow. Like, boy, you ain't never gonna be able to do that. Girl, you ain't never gonna
Cut
be
you like
good
a
for
knife.
nothing but this. You know what I'm saying?
Cut
And so many
you to the
people
core.
that gets them stuck in that survival mode. They mean like, I can only have one type of hustle. There's only one way I could get out. My mama says I can only get it in life one way. They can't see the options. They can't see the end game because of what they were built or what was instilled in them when they were younger.
You know what? And I had that conversation with somebody. I was saying how somebody told me that they were like making this comment saying like I'm a bad, like I was like, oh, you're a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like you have good habits, you're a good person. And they're like, no, I'm really a bad person. I'm a bad person. And the person was like pretty much who they were like, I pray on whoever like told them that that was a thing. Who instilled that in you to make you believe that you're a bad person? Like who put that on you to make you believe that you're just this bad person? Like who rubbed that on you? Who told you that? Who instilled that in you? Because the person really isn't a bad person, but sometimes, like you said, words, especially depending on like we talked about with that generation, when it comes to being a child and coming up in that trauma, depending on what you were told, what was, or it don't have to be your parents. It could be like you said, your babysitter, your friend, people across the street, whoever. Depending on what happened, these things have been instilled in you that you have told yourself, like, "Oh my goodness, this is who I am," and it's not. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to hold on to you. Let it go.
Because people by nature, I don't feel like are bad. You can make bad choices. You can have bad intentions. You could have bad actions. But you yourself as an individual don't have to hold a label as a bad person. And that really
Yes.
does jack a lot of people up. It really
Yes.
does. And then so they move through life with that energy, spreading that shit around to everybody. Because that's
That's what I'm
they truly believe
saying.
about themselves. It's the same thing where they say, you don't call a child stupid. You don't call a
Mm.
child bad. If you cannot speak light and love and uplift and encourage other people to get to their best point, you ain't doing nothing but hurting them in the long term. Because there's a lot of people who take a long time to heal through that. And that's why
Yeah.
we got so many people out here trying to survive instead of
And
getting
I
to
ain't
that
gonna lie.
point that we
I'm a victim of that. I need to stop because I ain't gonna act like I don't be sitting up here like you badass kid. I'm sitting here like I'll be sitting here like badass kid. So that's something, but that's something I gotta work on because I call my godson a little terrorist. I mean, and that's I need to work on that. I mean, I don't want him growing up thinking he's a terrorist, but he knows with I love my baby. He knows with love. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like also it's a difference between somebody saying something in a joking manner and then somebody saying like because you have some parents and siblings whoever that will really sit up and tell you with a straight face like you're never gonna be nothing, you bad, you terrible, you this, you that, nobody wants you. That's a whole nother thing in itself. Versus I feel like when we talk about like because you work with kids different things, when we talk about these kids and they know like we have a soft spot for them, we have a loving heart for them, that's
that's a
something
fact.
different.
But they have to have those types of relationships and connections with other people. Like everybody does need some level of a cheerleader or support system in some retrospect, right? Everybody
Yeah.
can't just be shitting on left and right. And when it
Mhm.
comes to children, they always need at least one person in their corner, at least one person that's going to just give it
One.
to them a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You could like everybody had somebody ask them, and maybe they didn't. You know what? I can't speak for everybody out in the world, but had somebody encourage them and say, what do you want to be when you get older? What
Yeah.
do you want out of life?
Yeah.
And if you didn't
Yes.
have that, I realized there's a lot of people that they were told what they were going to be. Like we all know about the prison pipeline system, which indicates that at a certain age, what is it, third grade,
Mhm.
that's the age group where kids are determined if they go to jail or not. I'm like, damn, you're only 8 years old, and people have already written your story about what you're going to be in the future and what's going to happen to you. How can you see a future that allows for you to be successful if people have placed that label on you at a young age and reinforced it, just constantly
Yes.
reinforced the negativity?
Yes. And then we have to get to a point where like affirmations are effective.
Baby, I am healthy, I am wealthy. I'm gonna tell you, like, I love positive affirmations. I cannot say it enough. Like, you ever seen videos where moms sit with their children and they have them just repeat these powerful
Oh,
affirmations
yes.
to go out into
Or
the
like,
world
oh,
every day?
it's
Like,
one I
I,
follow. Well, I used to follow. It's one I follow where like her daughter would be like in the mirror, doing her hair, everything, and she'd be like, and instantly the girl be like, "I'm loved, I'm kind, I'm heartfelt, I'm this, I'm beautiful, I'm survive." Like all these things. Like she would just like say the whole rip. And every morning she was like, "What do I tell you?" And then she was like, "I am beautiful, I'm this, I am that. Nothing can stop me. I'm going to achieve everything in life." Like just going.
So I work with kids, and that's something that I do with all of the kids that I work with. I do positive affirmations with them to, like I said, to pour in them, for them to be able to pour into themselves. Like I want them to come into my office. If when they're sitting down with me, we're gonna go through it like a routine, like literally. This is how I want you to speak about yourself. Start to talk about yourself
Yeah.
in this way because it'll be a force field around you. Ain't nobody could break through that wall. Nobody
Yeah.
could break through that. Ain't nobody could tell you shit about yourself. Okay?
And
And a lot of people need that. They need to start doing that. I feel like not just children, but adults. If you don't have a positive mantra or affirmation that you
mm-hmm.
utilize to get through all of the muck and mire of the day, start to create
I'm,
one. Like, definitely make
I'm
one for
trying to
yourself.
tell you something that gets you going. Me and you had this conversation the other day, or whatever. Tell you something that gets you going, whatever it is. Tell you what you got to get through. I change mine almost every day. Every day I tell myself something different.
Who you
But
telling?
tell yourself whatever you got to tell you.
I said, talk to me nice. I was like, I make sure I pour into myself. I pour nothing but love, respect, admiration, and healing into my heart every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. You know, y'all probably know the song out there that Mary J. Blige made, like Good Morning Gorgeous. And then I had to find out like the tea behind that song and everything, because Mary J. Blige basically did a few interviews saying that she always struggled with finding like her kind of her value. And there's so many women who out here like, yo, I
Don't act
love
like
me
you
some
didn't know
Mary.
that.
Okay, let me tell you. Okay, look. The men aside, some of the brothers aside, when she had her little stint with the little, little substance, all that aside, right? I love me some Mary.
I do.
But
I do.
I
I
love me some Mary,
love Mary. But
right?
I'm just saying, we not gonna act like.
But when it got to a real point, because you see it where so many people may pass Mary J. Blige at a show, a concert, on the street, and give her flowers and really, really
Yes.
say positive things to her. So many women who identify with her experience. And she was like, I struggled with self-love. Like, that means there's nothing that nobody else in this world can give you. There's nothing that anybody can say to you. You have to be willing to pour into your own cup. And if you can't do that, you'll never see it for yourself. So that Good Morning
But you know what?
Gorgeous was that positive affirmation that she needed.
Yes, but I tell people sometimes too, it's one of those things where if you can't be by yourself, you have to really come to this mindset where like sometimes I don't need nobody else. And I get it. Everybody wants love and you want this and we get it, right? You want the marriage, you want love, you want all these things. Nothing's wrong
That's a
with
part
that.
of the basic
But
needs. That's a part of
yeah,
people's basic needs on a
no,
lower
yeah,
level.
no, nothing's wrong with that, right? But if you don't know how to love yourself and be by yourself, and like you said, pretty much be like self-love, that if nobody else is going to love me, I ain't worried about it because I love me, that's a whole different thing.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's some truth, sir. I'm for real. Like, I think the idea around people having a hard time with sitting with themselves because they may not like what they see. That's really what it comes down to. There's too many people out here that the truth of the matter is they can't sit alone. They can't sit in that space
You
because
know
they
what?
don't like what they see. They don't know how to get out of that
You
situation. Like I said, they
said
stuck
you said it
just
one time.
surviving.
You said it one time where you was like, the silence is loud. So if you sit by yourself, the silence is so loud sometimes. And I was like, you got to sit with it. You got to hear it. You got to hear it. You got to sit with it. You got to hear it. And you got to deal with it. But
And you got to
like I said, that self-love, that self-care, that's a whole another thing. To like I said, eventually you get to the point where you realize you want to appreciate you because nobody's going to appreciate you like you going to appreciate you.
you too.
Nobody's
There's
going to love you like you love you.
I feel like when I tell people, just even encouraging people to sit in silence, I feel like is a powerful step, right? But I tell
Mm-hmm.
people what you do and how you operate in that silence is even more impactful. Because I think that sometimes people sit in that silence and they spend the whole time, like you said, beating themselves up, being down on themselves, that they don't know how to turn on that other switch.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, once you get through that whole what you feel is wrong, what you feel like you could do better, you got to start to make a plan for yourself that says, okay, I could have done this better, but now I'm going to do it better. I am doing it better. Tomorrow automatically
Right.
is better. And if you
Yes, ma'am.
can't do that, that's a hardship right there. So I think that so many people, like I said, use the silence purposefully. Don't just sit in it and get stuck in that space.
That's a fact.
For real, for real.
So, friend,
Like you said, you can hear that train from a mile away. Somebody said when things get quiet, you'll be able to hear everything. And
it's
that's true.
different.
Like I said, when you sit in that space by yourself and you really have time to reflect, you're able to hear some of the stuff in the background, but then you get better and better about tuning out the background noise. That's what mindfulness is about. That's what meditation is about. That's why so many people, that's what prayer is about, is when you have to really sit there and spend that time and focus.
That's a fact. So, friend, so anybody that has stuck around with us knows it's savage question time.
Okay.
So, the question for the day is, how long should somebody use their past struggles as an excuse to stay stuck in survival mode?
I feel like when it becomes a hindrance to their own success. Like if I continue to speak that energy that's like, oh, this never worked out for me, I ain't never gonna get here, life is always gonna be bad, cut it out. Shut it up.
She said, cut
Cut
it
it out.
out.
Cut it out. You
No,
blocking.
that's a fact.
Yeah, like
Because you're
you
never going
being
to get to
so hard
thriving.
and
And we sitting up here still using the excuse.
like everybody has been through some type of challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has had something happen in their life that has tripped them up. But I'm gonna be real. They used to say this all of the time. There are some people where maybe they've experienced a few shakes in a row, but they never really have that hard hit. So when they have it, they struggle with the idea of how to get back up and what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
But they cannot use it as an excuse for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And that's the thing. What we're not going to do is sit up here and let that excuse be the thing that if the situation happened when you was 20, we're not about to be 45 and you still using that same excuse. So why are you still doing the same thing at 45?
Yeah, I coulda, I shoulda, I woulda. Stop it. I can, I will, I am.
Said, if it was a fifth, we all be drunk. No, we're not doing that.
It's how you speak about yourself in the present and not discuss like what happened to you, who did it to you. And I honestly say that. So we're from 2 major cities, and I see somebody saying in the comments that like growing up in New York City is traumatizing. And I honestly do feel like we have that conversation. Like, you from Baltimore, and I think you and I being from places that we live in very metropolitan, urbanized, gritty ass places, okay?
Yes.
Where the things that we have grown to see and know and really will take you through
around and witness.
Right?
Yes.
But I never felt like I couldn't rise above my circumstance. I never felt like I couldn't be above surrounding. I have such a deep-seated love for my community. Like, from my community to your community, you already know. Yeah. Like, I feel like those are 2 environments that contribute to making me the woman that I am and to increasing opportunities for me. Because I learned how to survive my surroundings and the circumstances that I've been through. And I feel like I'm still there. I tell people, don't hear me speaking and think that I'm far removed from the situation. Somebody who is trying to shift their mindset from surviving to thriving, it's a constant routine. It's a constant push. It's a constant change. Like, you have to keep evolving.
Like you said, we come from one of the places, like you said, from 2 different places. And yes, I seen somebody said Baltimore, baby. But yes, it's one of those things where, like, I tell people all the time, like you said, somebody might not have been through something that crazy, but everybody has had something happen. Sometimes people get stuck on like, you can't relate and you don't know we're not doing that, because you don't know. Nobody knows somebody's whole story. Because if somebody across from you sat there and told you their story, you probably be shocked.
110%. And I hear stuff like that every day. Like, I tell people, you have what's called little T traumas and big T traumas. What may not have been something that would have been impactful for you, you don't know how it affected the next person. And there's so many people trying to tell people how to feel like, oh, that was nothing. So many people downplay another person's experience. And we definitely not here to do that. But what I always say to people is like, what you've experienced is always going to be real to you if it impacted you in a way that halt stopped you, that made you feel like you couldn't move through the motions. But I gotta keep it real too. I gotta keep it real. If that's an ongoing circumstance and you don't feel like you're taking any of the steps to get yourself out of that position, for you to get to a point where you can get to the good space, you gotta figure out something else. You can't use it as an excuse anymore.
You can't use it as an excuse. That's the thing. It's like, let me say this. At one stage, it's kind of not an excuse. Okay, like I said, if it happens to you at 20, right? At one moment, it's not an excuse. We get it. You're going through the healing process. But then, like I said, if you are now 45 and you feel like you can be like, oh, well, it's because this, and if this happened, no, that's when now you're making an excuse. You were given the path, you were given all the resources to help and different things of that nature. You decided that this is how you was going to go about it. No, it's an excuse. And we're not allowing that.
So I've been doing a new form of therapy with my clients. I've been utilizing EMDR, and
Mm-hmm.
EMDR is like a trauma-informed treatment model that helps people process different things that they experience in their life. And it's so interesting learning this work because people will process, like I said, a moment when they were like 5 years old, where
Mm-hmm.
somebody smacked them on the hand, or somebody argued in front of them. It could be something that we would contributize and say like, oh, that was such a long time ago. That was a small incident. And what we see in the process of EMDR, people pour real emotions. Like that thing that you didn't think could be so impactful to that individual really has impacted so many different areas of their life. So when we do
Yes.
it, we talk about a past moment, a present moment, and even things that they may have fears for in the future. We process all of it using that treatment model. And what comes from that is so powerful because a lot of people do get stuck. But just signing yourself up or taking steps to try to figure out what got you stuck in life, once you figure it out, you can only do the next steps, which is to move forward. I feel like once
Move
you
forward.
acknowledge that something happened to you and when you were 20 years old, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledged it. That happened to me. Now, what am I going to do about it to heal through it?
To move forward. And that's the thing. It's the acknowledging. I think so many people haven't sat there and acknowledged and been like, what do I do now? I sat with the pain, I acknowledged it, but I'm ready to move forward. I'm not ready to keep letting this hold me back. And you have a lot of people that are in lifestyles and different things that they are now because you let this one thing or whatever it may be hold you back as an excuse, but you don't look at it as an excuse at the time. Some people don't even look at it like an excuse because you done told yourself whatever you had to tell you to make it make sense to you.
Sometimes when I stare at things from the past, like when I really sit and I reflect on things that happened when I was younger, I am not that girl. There's a part of her that still exists, that operates, but I'm a whole
Let me
new
tell you.
version of myself. And I feel
Let
like
me tell you.
that has served me well. I'm now in what they call that quiet girl era. I was like the girl that they saw before that feels like you had to be That was a defense
Mm-hmm.
mechanism of how I had to survive in situations.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a space in my life where I don't have to fight those same battles anymore, that I could have more internalized peace. And I need that. And I realized that
Yeah.
it wasn't me being rah, 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 wasn't about them. It was about where I was. And
Mm-hmm.
this new person now respects that peace that I have. That says like, I'm
Yes.
not gonna say that out if I gotta, but
Let me
I'm
tell
at a
you.
new point where I like respect that space that I'm in.
We've had this conversation where because me and you have both seen each other at points in our lives where we were that person. And I tell people
Baby,
the me
y'all
I
ready to
tell
start chatting
people
in the comments? I'm like,
I tell people the me now is not the me then. Like the me now, the work had to be done. A lot of things had to be done. You can't, I will not let nobody bring me back to that person because, like you
no,
said, that person was surviving. That person was doing whatever they had to do to make stuff make sense. That person wasn't in the mind state and the strength. I didn't even have the faith and all the things that I
woo,
have now and the tools that I
come
have
on
now
now.
or whatever the case may be. That person, you can't pay me to be that person. But I tell people this, even within the healing in me now, I won't let nobody play about the new version of me either.
That's
So don't get
exactly what
confused.
it comes down to. That's exactly what it comes down to. Not letting people play with this new version of yourself. I can no longer be in a space where somebody's pulling the wool over your eyes, where somebody's poking the
Mm-hmm.
bear. If I need to remove myself, I remove myself. If I need to walk
Yes, ma'am.
away, I walk away. Because like I said, I
Every
respect and
time.
love myself too much to be in a space of bullshit. I respect and
Mm-hmm.
love myself too much to allow myself to feel like I got to fight for survival for the rest of my life. That it's never going to go beyond and get to that thriving point.
That's a fact. But friend, we're at the point now where I would like to thank everybody that tuned in, commented, and did everything else. We love y'all so much. Like we say before, I'm Lady A Savage,
and
Miss
I'm your girl, Miss Well Woke. And we want y'all to follow us where we streaming all content. We know that TikTok was shut down a little while ago, but it's back, y'all. So if you didn't do the app, go follow us on Miss Well and Woke's TikTok, Lady A Savage TikTok. Follow us on our social media pages on Instagram and also on YouTube, because this episode, if you didn't catch everything and you want to lock in on this tea, go find this on YouTube. You will get the instant replay. Yet again, like we said, we love y'all. Positive vibrations and good energy.
And also, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you got something from this message, tell your friend to tell a friend. We here because that's the whole point. The whole point is to sit up here, survive, and thrive. And so tell a friend, tell a friend. Go to YouTube, tell them to catch in, subscribe also. Make sure you subscribe to us and everything like that. Like I said, like she said, Miss Well and Woke page. You can also find it on Lady A Savage YouTube, on both our YouTubes. So do that for us and tell a friend. We love y'all.
Drop us comments, and if you want to reach us about some more information, make sure you send us something in the DM. If you want to hear a certain topic, we're all open to all conversations.
Yes.
First it'll hurt, but then it'll heal.
Yes, and any savage question that y'all might want to have, please DM me about it. We're taking all savage questions. So if any savage question, please DM me about it.
All right, y'all.